So notes for the homework, which is due this Tuesday. Reminder. There was also the first quiz, and if you didn't take the quiz, I can unlock it for you, but I need to kind of look through it today, and that way we can kind of figure out if we're all in the right class this week, so, or how the class should go right at the beginning. Quiz one. That's the quiz for this week. You don't have another quiz to do until next week. I'll post it probably next week on Tuesday, and it will be due the following Tuesday. Yes, if you ever need more time on an assignment, just let me know. I can either unlock the assignment or put an extension on it. Overall, this class is to get practice and to prepare for your next math class. So let me know how I can help. Also, I think I lost track of time last time. So I have a timer and I'll leave a couple minutes early to make up for Tuesday. Let's see, I would like for us to do one more example. Oh yeah, let me, I've got questions that, yeah, of course, before we get going, shout out any questions you have. I will, some stuff, yes, for the person who asked for their quiz a lot. The coast chord for this class for XYZ, I'll find it, it's in the syllabus, which, you know, it's, if you have, let's see. Okay, so if you're on Canvas and you go to the syllabus tab, there's a link to the syllabus, but I'll go ahead and pull it up. Somewhere towards the end in the XYZ part is the code. Okay. Down right there, ID. I'm just going to share it with the whole class. Any other questions? Recordings in the class in case we missed something. Recordings are in the modules, and I think, well, I've got all of them on YouTube. A few of them still need to be posted to Canvas, so they'll be there today. But you go to Canvas, then modules. And in the modules, there's a week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. In each week is like our class meetings. Zoom workings. I also want to talk about how I made a placeholder in Canvas for every single homework assignment. So after a few weeks, I will go to XYZ, take your score at that time, record it into Canvas, and you can know your grade. And then a few weeks later, maybe you've made up some homework, and I will update all of the homework scores again, and you can have a grade update. And then once we get to finals week, that will be your final scores when I make your post your grades. Okay. So I want to do another example for finding the LCD, and then we're gonna keep on doing homework problems. So we want to take, let's do 9/10 and subtract 3/4. On the side, I like to get the LCD. So the LCD is made up of the most of each factor from every denominator. So here you factor the denominator, factor this. And one of your factors is 2. So the most you have of that is over here, 2 2s. And you have one factor of 5, so it needs to go multiply that. Get 20. Okay, so 9/10 multiply that numerator and denominator by factors that are missing from your LCD. You have 2 and 5, but you're missing a 2. Okay, for 3/4, you've got 2 and 2, but you're missing 5. All right, 18 over 20 minus 15 over 20. Once you have a common denominator, and I just like to find the least common denominator, but when these match, you can have the numerators 18 minus 15 over that common denominator. 20. Okay, there's this problem. We're gonna do it together. So it's kind of a word problem. So we have to take some info. From this question, how many hours does a person making 850 per hour? Okay, so how many hours do they need to work? They have to work to earn $272. Okay, I'm trying to. What I kind of want to talk about is the units mostly, and I think that later this semester, like in a week or two, we will focus on converting units. For now, we have that there is $272. I'll use dollars. So those are your units. Divide by $850 per, or like $850 divided by 1 hour. 50, the units are dollars, and over 1 unit hours. So we've talked about this earlier. Instead of taking this number and dividing by that fraction, we will multiply by the reciprocal of this fraction. And like in a sense, that unit of dollars cancels with that unit of dollars, and what's the units left over are hours. So 272 times 1 divided by 850, and I got 32. And again, like that's gone, that's gone. Those are your units, hours. All right, so next is to talk about percentages. A percentage is a proportion out of 100. Okay, so 30% would be 30 out of 100. Let's go with 75%. Is 75 out of 100. And like 98%, it's 98 out of 100. I think that's all I need to say about that. There's a few questions about percentages and reading charts, like a pie chart or something. Okay, next is to talk about the acronym HEMDAS, or just to talk about order of operations. Four. So that acronym, which we'll go through again. So we'll write it all out as parentheses first, any parentheses, and then exponents. Multiply, divide is the next step. Then you can add or subtract as your last step. Otherwise, you could get a different solution. So as long as we all follow the same rules, we will reach the same solutions. Maybe in different ways, but I'll get the same answer. Okay, start with parentheses. After that, look for exponents and work with those. Then you can multiply or divide either one of these. Multiply, divide. And then at the end, add or subtract. Or you can subtract and then add. Just save those for last. Okay. I have a few examples. The first one is 2 times 2 cubed plus 5 times 2. Anything else? Oh, that's it. Okay. And there aren't any parentheses, so look for exponents. This here we'll take care of first. And remember, this exponent represents repeated multiplication. So this is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Just this part right here. 2 times 8 plus 5 times 2. Right here, multiply or divide. So we're going to multiply 2 with 8. 2 with 5. And then add or subtract. So we're adding and getting 26. Okay. Our next example has 6 plus 75 divided by 5 squared. Parentheses, don't need to worry about it. Exponents, right there. So take 5 times 5. And multiply or divide, you have division. So when we divide 75 by 25, I'm going to add some parentheses for a moment. I will put a placeholder, or I guess put a 1 down here to make this look like a fraction. Then take 75, multiply by the reciprocal of 25 over 1. So next step is to do the multiplication first. So 75 times 1 over 25. We factor, this is 25 times 3. Okay, 6 plus 25 times 3, and that's over 1 times 1 over 25. When you have a number over itself, it reduces to 1. Or an easier way to say that is like 25 over 25 simplifies to 1. It's left is 3 times 1 over 1. And then we're at the end. You can All right, I've got a few of these. So next one has a lot of parentheses. Okay, here we go. Parenthesis, and then 3. Parenthesis, 8. Subtract 6. Close. -1. And then close. And then add 10. Okay, so we have parentheses. Find them and then go inside, as far inside the parentheses as you can. So into here. Take care of that part first. So 8 minus 6 will leave 2. Okay, so in these parentheses, we have 3 times 2 minus 1. So we'll multiply first. And then after that, we'll take care of the subtraction. Up here. All right, so 5 is inside here. And then plus 10. I mean, if you want to, you can drop the parentheses, but you could put a little extra, like just to make it clear, you don't need those there anymore. And we add, get 15. Okay. Let's keep practicing. All right, we want to take 9 multiplied by 2/3, which is squared. So first is the exponents. This exponent, when you have a fraction with a power applies to the numerator and denominator. So we need 2 squared over 3 squared. I feel like I don't need those parentheses anymore. I've taken care of the power. Like having the parentheses there is telling you that it applies to both numerator and denominator. We'll put 9 over 1. So like a fraction times a fraction. And I can factor 9. It's 2 times 2. Okay, that 3 over 3 reduces to 1. Another 3 over 3 leaves the number 1. So we've got 1 times 2 times 2, which is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 over 1 is 4. Okay, next one. Oh, So we have a square bracket, which is another way to organize the information. Inside is 4, and subtract parenthesis 2 plus 1. Close the square brackets. Subtract 8. Okay, so this is just another form of parentheses. I mean, I could make them soft if I want to. In this case, it's just helping sort out what steps to take. And you take those outer parentheses, go inside and find the furthest inside of the parentheses you can get here, and start here with 2 plus 1. Once you take that step, you don't need the parentheses anymore. Okay, now we have these parentheses. So in here, 4 minus 3 is 1. One subtract 8, you have a negative 7. Okay, one more. This kind of example. It has a square bracket. 7 minus, in parentheses, there's 5 plus 3. And minus 4, close the square bracket, and the whole thing will be squared. So it's parentheses first and then exponents. So we go and we have these parentheses, and inside them more parentheses. So go as far as you can inside and take care of that part first. 5 plus 3. 8. And there's a minus. Okay, and again, before doing this exponent, we want to work inside of the parentheses. Parentheses, then exponents, then multiply, divide, at the end, add and subtract. Okay, but parentheses tell us to do this subtraction first. 7 minus 8 is getting us to negative 1, and then minus 4, we're at negative 5. Negative 5 will be squared. Positive 25. So my next idea is to talk about when you have a negative number and raising it to different powers. If you have a negative number and you raise it to an even power, the result will be positive. We'll just put is. Okay, if you take a negative number and put it to an odd power, then the number is going to end up being negative. Let's do a few examples. I think we'll try to just put it into this space. Take -1 and raise it to an even power. -1 to the 4th. Let's do, we'll just do this one example, but maybe after we can like erase the board, we'll play with some more. So -1 to the 4th, you multiply -1 with itself 4 times. Okay, multiply 2 negatives together, it's a positive. Same here, that one's going to be a positive. Positive times positive makes this +1. Let's take -1, put it to an odd power, say 5. 1, and 4 times, 5 times. Okay, so these two negatives are making a positive. -1 times -1 is +1. Then there's still a negative sign here. So positive times that last negative is a -1. I think I'm just going to set that there. And if you have questions about it, we can always come back to it, even during class. Just let me know. But let's keep going through homework type problems like this guy. -2/5 multiplied with -5/4. Negative with negative is positive. You don't need to write down, but just to be clear, you have a positive number and 5/5 reduces to 1. So another way I like to write that instead of canceling them out is to do an arrow through them and say that this here is going to be 1. But that's just my style. All right, so left is that 2 and over 4, which also simplifies. So 2/2 times 2. 2/2 is 1. And that means I've got 1/2 left as my answer. Okay. So, reminder or warning that you cannot divide by 0. Any number that's over 0 is undefined. Even 0, any number over 0. Okay, so like a number that's undefined, it doesn't exist. It's not a real number. Mostly though, in your homework, you're going to say that it's a undefined value. Like 5/0 is undefined. 202/0 is undefined. And I feel like I just checked this, but it never hurts to double check. Even 0 over 0 is undefined. So 0 over 0 does not equal 1. 0 over 0 is undefined. Again, I feel like just this week I Googled it, but I'll Google it like 0 over 0, check. Undefined. Okay, let's keep on going. What about a 0 over a number? That's going to be 0. So if you have this, 0 divided by any non-zero number is 0. All right. 0 over 5, 0. And let's do 73. 0 divided by 73 is 0. Sweet. I want to do. I have a couple more examples, but then that's the end of my homework notes. And I do have old worksheets, but I feel like I might turn to the book or I might make up some examples. Okay. Let's at least get through these. The first one is 9 plus 5 over 3 times 2 minus 6. Let's take care of this multiplication first. So 9 plus 5. 6 minus 6. 9 plus 5 is 14. Some number and over 0. So we have an undefined. Now we've got 20 minus 5 times 4 over 7 minus 2. 20 minus 20 over 5. And again, we've got 0 over 5. Talked about that. It's 0. Okay, let me think about what to do next. Let's go ahead and share the worksheet. So the worksheet's okay. I just feel like it's a bit more, some of the problems we can't really do because it's for groups. This is something I used to do in Math 10. Do together on Zoom. And I'll go ahead and post this to Canvas. Okay, so if we were meeting in person, we would get into groups of 4, go over these algebraic operations, which we can, let's see, can I zoom? Yes. Okay. So we've got real numbers A, B, C, and D. To add 2 fractions with the same denominator, A over B plus C over B, you add the numerators over that denominator. Same for subtraction. You have to have a common denominator to subtract the numerators over the denominator. Okay, here's talking about getting a common denominator for the 2 middle operations. Oh, actually, it's better. All right, and the last parts are multiplication. So multiplication and division. When you multiply 2 fractions, multiply the numerators, then multiply the denominators. When you divide a fraction by another fraction, you leave the first fraction, switch from division to multiplication, and then take the reciprocal of the second fraction. And then you can multiply across numerators and denominators. We've practiced that stuff already. We can go ahead. We have quite a bit of, I think we have time, like half an hour or so. So let's go ahead and try these out. We're going to take 5/12 multiplied by 9/4. And again, this is a review week, so we're trying to build up speed with our basic algebra skills. So if it's been a while, or if you just need some extra practice, we're here to do all those kind of problems this week. So for the rule, we could just multiply across the numerator and multiply across the denominator. I think it's a little easier if we factor, cancel common factors, and then do those steps. Okay, factor 12. Let's do 3 times 4. 9 is 3 times 3. 3 over 3, which reduces to 1. I think that's it. So I'm going to multiply 5 with 3. And 4 with 4 to get 15 over 60. Next. The next problem from the worksheet is 5/12 plus 9/4. Oh yeah, okay, it's the same fractions, we're just adding them together. All right. For addition, we need a common denominator. So we can factor the denominators. Let's factor 12 into 3 times 4. I could fully factor, or I'm going to just kind of leave it like this and now talk about the LCD. So I'm going to have 4 be one of my factors. I've got 4 and a 4, so just 1 4. in the LCD. Another factor is 3. There's just one 3. So this is just some scratch work. For this problem, this denominator has both of the factors from the LCD, so you just leave it how it is. This fraction is missing the factor 3, so 9 over 4 multiplied with 3 over 3. That's how it is. Add 27 over 12. And now we have a common denominator. So right now I'm at 32 over 12, which I know is going to simplify. So let's start factoring 32. It's 2 times 16. Let's start to factor 12 as 2 times 6. 2 over 2 is going to reduce to 1. So what's left is 16 over 6. These are both even, so we can factor out a 2. Numerator is 2 times 8. This is 2 times 3. 2 over 2 is 1. And that's 1 times 8 thirds, or 8 thirds. That's my answer. So the next problem, we'll read through it. Don't worry about writing it all down. I'm gonna just put this on Canvas later today. So we have D. My cookie recipe calls for 1/2 cup of white sugar. If the only measuring cup available is 1/8 cup, how many of these will have to be filled with sugar to make the total of 1/2 cup of sugar? And then I'm just going to go ahead and point out the next part is to explain how the group figured out the problem, just their thought process. And I kind of remember a few explanations. So let's go through that together. So mostly an idea is to take the 1/8 cup that you have and then try adding 2 of them and see what you get. Then try adding 3 and see if that's the answer you want, or maybe try adding 4. Keep adding those scoops until you reach 1/2 cup. So the ideas from the problem are that I have a 1/8 cup scoop. Spoon. And I need 1/2 cup in the recipe. Okay, so some scratch work. And there's definitely more than one way to solve a problem or think through it. But here's what I did. I started with trying the 1/8 with another 1/8. And you get 2/8, which would simplify. So 2 over 2 times 4, those 2's cancel. I got 1. reduced to 1. That's not 1/2 cup, it's a 1/4 cup. So that's part of my scratch work. It didn't work. Let's try 3 of them. Okay, that's not where I want to be. I'm trying to reach 1/2. So keep on adding these together, but this time I'll do 4. 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 is going to be 1/2 once we factor that denominator and have those 4s reduced down to 1, reached my 1/2 cup. So you would need 4 scoops to have 1/2 cup. Okay, let's see what's next on this. Okay, this one, I have my way of explaining it, but let's see how it goes. So we're going to part F. It's a new recipe. It calls for 2/8 cup of flour. A measuring cup set does not include a 1/8 cup, but I do know that's 16 tablespoons. There are 16 tablespoons in 1 cup. And now I need to know how many tablespoons I need for the 1/8 cup. Okay, so there's a lot going on in this problem. What are we actually needing to do? Okay, recipe needs 2 1/8 cup. How many tablespoons will I need? Oh, okay, so all we need to do is, all they're concerned about is the 1/8 cup and not having that measurement. But they do have a tablespoon. So how many tablespoons are equal to 1/8 of a cup? Knowing that 16 tablespoons are in 1 cup. Okay, let's get some of that down. So there was some extra information in the problem. It started off talking about needing 2 1/8 cups. And the problem is I don't have 1/8 of a cup. This time, like in this new situation. I do have a tablespoon. And I want to use it to be able to create that 1/8 cup. Okay, so I'm told that 16 tablespoons are in 1 cup. So you write that as 16 tablespoons equals 1 cup. Tablespoon equals 1 cup. 16 tablespoons are in a cup. And I want an 1/8 cup of sugar. It'll click in my brain in just a sec. Something about, we want to do something like play with the units. So I'm just going to give this a try. I'm going to try doing that. I put one. Let's see how I do it. Yeah, all we need to know is how many tablespoons for the 1/8 cup. Okay, so let me think about this. I'm trying to do something like 1 cup. So that way, this is maybe overthinking it. Let's try just writing down the problem. Let me think. If it's like the previous one and we do a tablespoon plus a tablespoon plus a tablespoon so many times, then you're taking that tablespoon times some number and wanting it to equal 1/8 cup. So that's me knowing that when you have repeated addition, it turns into multiplication. So if I add a tablespoon with itself x times, what I'm doing is I'm taking that 1 tablespoon times x, whatever x is, and equal to 1/8 cup. Let's see if this works out. So 1 tablespoon, let's solve for x by divide. I'm thinking now. Sorry, I'm kind of lost. Take a tablespoon so many times to get 1/8 cup. Let's go from cups to tablespoons, and then we'll be at least in the same units. What am I wanting to do? Oh, I'm just kind of thinking like my idea is the units. So I've got, if I put 1 cup, I thought is now you've got this over this is just 1. This is just a fancy number 1. This fancy number 1 equals 16 tablespoons over 1 cup. So if I have, I'm just making a mess. I think I'm going to just let this go. Maybe I'll solve it on my own and we can come back to it. But I'm just kind of unclear of where to go. Let's see. Let's think. So instead of working through the worksheet, I'm going to XYZ. I know we've covered enough info for you to do your homework, so I kind of want to just peek at the book. I want to say thank you for being patient with me as I make the best of our class time. So let's see. Let's stick with review. So let's work with percents. Okay. All right, let's try this. Let's try a few of these. So we're going to write 1/4 as a percent. Okay, somewhere earlier, I mentioned that percentages are proportions out of 100. So we want to take this fraction, get a denominator that's 100, and then change it to a percentage. So let's see, if we multiply by 25 over 25, 25 over 100 is 25%. Another one of these. So let's take 1/8 and change it to a percentage. Actually, let's do the next 7/8. 7/8. So I'm thinking to do. Whoa. There's someone who could. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. All right. I need a denominator of 100. So I kind of want to do scratch work and think what times 8 equals 100, and then use that number. Okay, scratch work where I need 100 is going to be 8 times some number. I don't know the number, so call it x. And when you solve for x, divide both sides by 8. Okay, so 8 over 8, that's going to reduce to 1. That was the goal. 100 divided by 8. Somebody, let's see.
12.5.
12.5. You can leave it as a fraction or write a decimal. Okay, 7 over 8 times 12.5 over 12.5. So it should be 100. And then do you have 12.5 times 7? Okay, cool. Oh, cool. In the chat. Thank you very much. 87.5. All right, 87.5%. Okay, so I still want to do a little more practice before you guys go. Just sticking with the review chapters. Let's move to Let's work with improper fractions for a moment. Three and 2/5 times 1 1/2. Okay, so just in case it's been a while, to rewrite 3 and 2/5, take 5 multiplied with 3 and add 2. 2 times 1 plus 1 over 2. Okay, 15 plus 2 is 17. 4, 5. Multiply with 3 over 2. Nothing's going to reduce. And let's go over 10. Good. 41. Check it out. 17 times 3. 51. All right. Let's try one more like that. So further down is 4 and 7/10 times 3 and 1/10. And again, just to work clearly through this, take 10 times 4, add 7, keep it over 10. 10 times 3 plus 1 over 10. Right. 47 over 10. Times 31 over 10. Anyone want to share 47 times 31? Maybe in the chat. Yes, in the chat. Oh, thank you. So I've got just. So if we want to, we can leave it as a fraction, but I'm just trying to think if we were going to write this in decimal form, 14.57. Which we'll talk about later this semester, which is kind of just related to scientific notation. All right, I think that's good enough for today. So we're done doing review. Next week, we want to start doing stuff like, let me peek at the book. We're going to, I think, solve algebraic expressions. And then later is linear equations. Okay, so let's call that good.